Hi everybody, and welcome to IHC TV. Today it's Thursday Tips with Dr. Temple, and I have a special guest with me today, the other Dr. Temple. Thanks for joining us, John Temple.
My pleasure.
John is my husband. We have been married for 21 years. Only marital bliss, right? Just
Absolutely.
Unicorns and butterflies. And so today I thought that I'd invite him here to talk to us, because one of the things that we're seeing in clinic is families are having a tough time getting on the same page for their wellness goals. So we come in here, we know that the children are having some chronic issues like asthma, ADHD, focus issues, etc. And we're talking to one parent, and one parent is like, let's do this, let's go. And then the other parent walks away saying they're good, and then not really kind of following the plan, and then we get into some issues. Or we have families that don't even want to come to see us because they're not able to get on the same plan. Anyway, without further ado, so John we met in med school. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and you've been doing orthopedics now for
14 years.
14 years. And so I want to talk about, like, what was our life like? Remember back when, before the wellness revolution took over our house? What did we eat? What did we do?
Well, I think we were on the fly, and life was crazy, and we didn't necessarily make the quality of our food a priority. And so it was whatever was quick and convenient, which ended up being a lot of processed foods, quick, just reheat in the oven. You know, I remember the days of the frozen burritos. And,
frozen burritos, good one, yeah.
Frozen pizzas.
Frozen pizzas, yes.
It was all about really convenience, really more than about quality. And it just really wasn't a focus that there was a problem with that. I think we've always exercised, and I think we kind of felt like, oh, if we exercise, we can kind of eat whatever we want, and didn't really pay attention to the fuel that we were using if we were doing enough exercise. And so I think we kind of rationalized it that way, and it just wasn't an area of focus for us.
Yeah, we did a lot of rationalization. That's a good way of saying it. And we were super busy. We had 3 small kids. We both were starting our careers. We had moved to Charlotte. We had a big house. We had to pay mortgage and all these bills. And remember, home cooking was me getting a bag of food that had the vegetables, the meat, and it was one bag. Yeah. And I'd cut the bag and I put it in the pan, and that was me home cooking. And you're like, no, I got dinner tonight. I'll cook tonight.
I could be a cook for that.
Yes.
It made it great.
When would you say, so like about 11 years ago, all 3 of our children were really sick. The little one, who was 2, had multiple allergies, seasonal allergies, was on 5 medications. The middle one had profuse snot, which many people have heard me talk about, the amount of snot, the most disgusting thing ever, with ADHD symptoms. And then the oldest one, our daughter, she had asthma, eczema, allergies, numerous ear infections, sinus infections, hospitalized for that. Anyway, and so I came home one day and I decided that me solo was going to change our lifestyle and our food. And how did that go over? Do you remember way back when?
I definitely wasn't on board at 11 years ago. I wasn't even on board probably 5 years ago. I've clearly been slower to adopt. I think it's just different for guys. Growing up, nutrition isn't really a big thing to us, but we're not even really involved in a lot of food preparation growing up, just as boys. Sometimes it just tends to be girls navigate with their moms oftentimes and learn more about cooking, and so I never was really exposed to what's important in food and things like that. And as you know, it was pretty disappointing in medical school what we get exposed to from a nutrition standpoint. And so for me, I grew up in processed food in the 70s and 80s, and Fruit Loops and McDonald's, and so I really didn't make the connection between our family having sickness issues and what we were eating. And selfishly, it probably really wasn't until it affected me that I kind of made the connection. And what I noticed was, and you know this, is that I did pretty well through my 20s with my garbage diet, but as I got into my 30s and was working more and more stress, I started getting sick more than I thought I should have. And I was getting really sick 3 or 4 times a year. I could hardly get out of bed with colds and the flu. And a few years ago I got pneumonia, and I'm thinking, I'm a young, healthy guy, and I've got full-blown pneumonia. I'm like, what's going on? And I think that was the beginning of my wake-up call that something's not right. And I'm seeing in my patients that, you know, they're claiming they're eating the right stuff and they're eating low fat, and they continue to gain weight and are on additional medications. And I said, something doesn't make sense to me. And despite you were saying this, I was very resistant. And I have to say, I read a book, which I always read a book, and it really resonated with me. It's called In Defense of Food.
In Defense of Food. Mm-hmm.
And that book kind of opened my eyes to say, my wife's been telling me this for years, and I think I finally am getting it. And I think that was my major transition point.
That's awesome. And how do you feel now? So now you know, how would you say that your health is now? Now we're on the same page and we're saying the same thing for our children as far as food, screen time, fitness, sleep, all the time. How do you feel?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm not one for outrageous, you know, claims that it changed my life, but I have to admit, I don't get sick anymore. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Really, I don't even get colds anymore. And the major change in my life has been my diet. I still exercise and I always have. So, I mean, I feel different. I don't get the afternoon lull that I used to do in regards to feeling like I needed a nap at 2 or 3 o'clock. And I mean, overall, I feel better with it. And again, the major life change has been that. So I presume that I think what I'm putting in my body is a major part of that.
And this is awesome. And I just want to say that, you know, a lot of people look at me like, oh, we've always done this. It's always been the same thing. And in fact, I just wanted to share that we were on a different path a long time ago. And then our kids got sick. And then I started bringing the changes to the house. One of the things that we always talk in being a medical household, imagine Nerd Central, is like, what is the latest medical evidence? Do you have any medical evidence that, you know, essential fatty acids help with depression? And do you have any, I don't know about this. And you always want to see the latest medical literature to support what I'm saying. I mean, I feel like I'm in defense of food. I should write that book.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me, so in order for me to have dinner, I would have to have a giant box of Cheez-Its.
Oh, yes.
And I would set them down next to my chair so the kids wouldn't see them. And throughout dinner, I'd have to have Cheez-Its with almost everything. And so once, you know, I look back now and I'm thinking, I can't believe I was eating that every meal. And then the kids, you know, would say, well, what do you have over there? It looks, you know, it looks good. It's crazy how far we've come.
Yeah, and we feel good, and our children are healthy, and you know, through all the stuff. And it wasn't all unicorns and roses. We had many disagreements over, you know, vacation food and the children's food, and are we fun parents, and they should be children, and they should be able to have that. Why are you being so mean? And you know, we had those kind of things.
Right.
But we got on the same page, and
I think a big factor for me is that, you know, I did the finances in the family, and I think a lot of men say, you know, I just don't see the point in paying, you know, 15% extra because it's an organic meat or it's a grass-fed meat. And I really had to educate myself on why that is important. And you know, it's just like anything else. If you buy a higher, you know, quality of clothing, you're going to pay a bit more for that. But we don't apply that to food. We just assume it's all the same. And so for me, I had to get over the mental jump of it costing a bit more, and it's not everything, but certain things are. But I had to appreciate that you're getting something for that, and that was a big jump that I think a lot of guys, it's tough to say. It's like there's two; those are the same. They're both, you know, they're both meat. We shouldn't pay more for one,
right? And
I think that was something I had to get over.
Yeah. And that's so important, because I do hear that all the time. And that's an awesome dad perspective, man perspective. Because, you know, it's when we're like, no problem, you know, monopoly money.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much for coming here today. I know it's Valentine's Day.
Of course.
Because that's how lovely we are. Happy Valentine's Day. And I hope that was helpful. And we have a lot more to learn and a lot more to experience. But I hope that this tale of the two people, I can't even say it.
We're people.
The two people, cities. Yeah, anyway. But anyway, I hope that was helpful. And we wish you a wonderful Valentine's Day. And may you get on the same page with your partner so you can get your whole family on the path to wellness. And if you need our help, we would always love to have you as part of our clinic. You can give us a call at 704-533-1203. And you can start your path to wellness today. Thank you.
Thank you.